Okay, here's the thing. Number 10, the simulation hypothesis. Everything feels stable, predictable, consistent, but consistency can be programmed. A simulated world would look exactly like reality. Physics becomes rules, rules become code, code becomes world. If our universe is computed, then every particle is data. Every force is an instruction. Every event is an output. The idea sounds futuristic, but simulation theory doesn't require advanced graphics, only mathematics, only logic, only processing. If intelligence can simulate physics, then physics itself may already be simulated. The laws of nature behave like algorithms, precise, repeatable, predictable, like software that never crashes, unless it does. Quantum randomness appears everywhere, tiny glitches, tiny uncertainties, as if resolution has limits, as if precision costs computation, as if reality uses optimization, because perfect detail everywhere would require infinite processing power. So the universe economizes. It renders detail only when needed. Particles behave differently when observed, like objects loading when the camera turns. Reality seems continuous, but under extreme magnification. It becomes pixelated. Space may have a smallest unit. Time may have a smallest tick, a frame rate, a resolution, a limit to rendering. If this is a simulation, we would never see the hardware, only the output, only the illusion of physical substance. Even our memories could be variables, editable, insertable, replaceable, which raises a dangerous possibility. If reality can be computed, it can be modified. And if it can be modified, it can be interrupted, or stopped, or restarted. But simulation alone doesn't explain something deeper. Why does mathematics describe reality so perfectly, unless reality is mathematics? And that possibility runs deeper than simulation, much deeper. Number 9, digital physics. What if reality is not continuous, not smooth, not infinite, but discrete, like pixels on a screen? Digital physics proposes that the universe runs on bits, binary distinctions, yes or no, 1 or 0, something or nothing. At the smallest scales, space may not divide forever, time may not flow endlessly. There may be a minimum unit, a smallest interval, a fundamental grain, like resolution limits in software. Zoom in far enough, and continuity disappears. You don't see a smooth curve, you see steps, tiny jumps, reality updating frame by frame. Max Planck discovered hints of this. Energy comes in packets, quanta, not infinitely divisible, as if nature refuses infinite precision, as if reality prefers efficiency. Digital systems avoid infinities. They prevent errors. They maintain stability. Our universe does the same. Infinite values break equations, but physics keeps working. Convenient, suspiciously convenient. Even black holes store information on surfaces, not volumes. Information density appears finite, bounded, countable. If the universe has maximum information capacity, then reality is not continuous. It is quantized, compressed, encoded. In digital systems, complex worlds emerge from simple rules. Cellular automata create patterns, order from binary logic, structure from repetition, complexity from simplicity. Our universe behaves similarly. Galaxies, atoms, DNA, all following simple mathematical constraints. What if the richness of reality is generated from a tiny rule set, a minimal algorithm producing maximal complexity, a cosmic computation unfolding over time? And if reality is digital, then what we perceive as smooth existence is only an illusion of resolution, a rendered approximation, which leads to a deeper question. If the universe is information, where is it stored? And why does information behave like geometry? That question leads directly to something stranger, a universe that may not exist in 3 dimensions at all. Number 8, the holographic universe. Imagine a universe with fewer dimensions than we experience. Imagine depth as illusion. The holographic principle proposes that reality may be encoded on a distant surface, a boundary, a cosmic screen. Everything inside our universe could be described by information written on that edge, 3 dimensions emerging from 2, volume emerging from area, reality projected. Black holes revealed the clue. Their entropy does not scale with volume, only with surface area. Information lives on boundaries, not inside space. That is backwards, completely backwards. If true, Every event inside the universe is equivalent to information stored on a distant horizon, a cosmic film, a universal encoding. We experience depth, but physics suggests depth may be derivative, a reconstruction, a projection, like a hologram, flat data creating apparent space. The idea solves deep contradictions between gravity and quantum mechanics. Two incompatible theories become consistent if reality is encoded differently than it appears. A lower dimensional description fully reproduces higher dimensional experience, meaning the world you see may not be fundamental, just emergent, just reconstructed, just decoded by the structure of space-time. We never access the underlying layer. We only experience the projection. If true, what feels physical may only be interpretation, reality behaving like an image rather than an object. But holography still assumes that information exists somewhere, stored somewhere, defined somehow, which leads to something deeper. What if reality is not made of matter at all, but made entirely of information itself? Number 7. Reality. From information. Physics once believed matter was fundamental. Tiny solid things, building everything. Then atoms dissolved, particles replaced objects, fields replaced particles, and now, information may replace fields. Some physicists propose that reality is not made of stuff. It is made of distinctions, differences, relationships, information. John Wheeler summarized it simply. It from bit. Existence from yes or no questions. Binary structure beneath physical appearance. Particles behave like answers. Measurements produce outcomes. Quantum states encode possibilities. Reality responds to questions like a database queried. Before observation, properties remain undefined, not hidden. Undefined, as if the universe stores probabilities instead of objects. Information becomes primary, matter becomes secondary, mass becomes compressed information, energy becomes structured data. Even physical laws may be informational constraints, rules describing how information can transform. Thermodynamics measures entropy, entropy measures missing information. Black holes preserve information even when matter disappears. Nothing physical seems allowed to truly vanish. Only rearrange, only transform, only update. If everything is information, then physical reality is a representation, a rendering, an interface. The solidity we feel may be interpretation by biological systems designed to process information efficiently. We don't perceive raw structure. We perceive simplified output, color, sound, texture, useful approximations. Not literal truth. Our senses evolved for survival, not accuracy, meaning the world we experience may be optimized for usability, not reality. And if reality is information, then something must interpret that information. Something must define meaning, which raises a deeper possibility. Perhaps reality does not exist without observers at all. Number 6. Quantum observers create reality. At the quantum level, nothing is decided. Particles do not have positions. They have possibilities, not locations, probabilities. A particle can be here or there or both, simultaneously. Superposition. Reality undecided, until measurement occurs. Observation changes outcomes. Wave functions collapse. Uncertainty becomes fact. Possibility becomes history. Before observation, multiple futures coexist. After observation, only one remains. The strange part? Physics cannot fully define what counts as an observer. A measuring device works, an interaction works, even the environment works. Reality seems to crystallize when information spreads, when distinctions become irreversible, as if the universe refuses to choose until forced. Delayed choice experiments deepen the mystery. Present actions appear to affect past states. Decisions made now seem to define what already happened. Time order blurs, causality softens. Reality behaves less like a fixed story and more like an unfolding calculation. Some interpretations suggest observation is fundamental, not passive, creative, participatory. The act of measurement does not reveal reality. It produces it, a radical idea. Without observation, physical properties remain undefined, not unknown, undefined, meaning reality may not exist independently of interaction. The universe may not be a stage. It may be a conversation, a dialogue between information and interpretation, between possibility and selection. which leads to a disturbing question. If observation helps create reality, what exactly counts as an observer? A machine? A detector? A mind? Or something even deeper? Perhaps consciousness itself plays a fundamental role, not as a byproduct, but as a primitive element of existence. Number 5. The universe. As mathematical structure, mathematics describes reality with impossible precision, not approximate, exact. Equations predict planets centuries in advance. Fields describe forces we cannot see. Abstract symbols map perfectly onto nature. Why? Why should imaginary constructs predict physical behavior? Why should equations exist before discovery? Why should reality obey logic written in human symbols? Some physicists propose a radical inversion. The universe is not described by mathematics. The universe is mathematics, a mathematical structure existing timelessly, not evolving, not changing, simply existing. Physical objects become relationships. Particles become solutions. Space becomes geometry. Time becomes parameterization. Everything becomes structure. In mathematics, existence requires only consistency. If no contradictions exist, the structure exists, independent of observation, independent of matter, independent of time. Our universe may simply be one self-consistent structure among infinitely many. We experience it because we are part of it, embedded observers inside abstract relations. This explains something strange. Why physical constants exist, why equations feel discovered, why reality follows logic instead of chaos. If the universe is mathematics, then physical substance may not exist at all. Only structure, only relations, only constraints, no particles, no objects, only patterns interpreted as objects, which suggests something deeper. If mathematics itself can generate reality, then space and time may not be fundamental either. They may simply emerge from deeper relationships, relationships that do not require geometry, or distance, or duration, which leads to a disturbing implication. The fabric of reality may not include space or time at all. Number 4. Space-time. As emergent illusion, we assume space exists. We assume time flows. We assume distance is fundamental. But physics keeps removing them. Relativity merged space and time. Quantum gravity tries to remove both. Some theories suggest space is not fundamental. It emerges. Like temperature. Temperature feels real, but it emerges from microscopic motion. No single molecule contains temperature. Likewise, no single quantum element may contain space. Geometry may arise from deeper connections, networks of relationships, information links, entanglement structures. Some models show space forming from quantum correlations, connectivity creating geometry, distance emerging from interaction strength. Closer connections feel closer in space. We experience extension, but underlying reality may only contain relationships. No background grid, no stage, only interactions. Time may also emerge. Change ordering itself creates the illusion of flow. The present moment may not move. We move through configurations, like frames in a film. No frame moves. Sequence creates motion. Remove sequence, and time disappears. Equations describing quantum gravity sometimes contain no time variable. Physics functioning without temporal flow. Only correlations, only consistency relations. If space-time emerges, then the universe does not fundamentally exist somewhere. It does not fundamentally happen. Location and duration become approximations, convenient descriptions, not ultimate reality, which implies something radical. If space and time are constructed, what constructs them? What defines relationships before geometry exists? Something deeper than space-time itself, something capable of generating structure without distance, without duration, perhaps something closer to awareness, or logic, or something we don't yet have words for. Number 3. Consciousness. As fundamental. We usually think consciousness emerges from matter. Brains create mind, neurons create awareness, complexity creates experience. But some theories reverse this. Consciousness may be fundamental, not produced, not generated, present at the base layer. Matter becomes secondary, experience becomes primary. Physics describes structure, but structure alone does not explain feeling. Equations predict behavior, they do not predict experience. No formula explains why anything feels like anything, why color feels vivid, why pain feels sharp, why existence feels like something. This gap is called the hard problem. Objective description cannot fully capture subjective reality. Some propose that consciousness is a basic feature of existence, like mass, like charge, like information. Instead of emerging late, it may exist everywhere, in minimal form. Primitive awareness embedded in structure. Complex systems amplify it, organize it, stabilize it, but do not create it. In this view, reality is not unconscious matter occasionally producing minds. Reality is mind-like structure occasionally appearing as matter. Experience becomes fundamental. Physical properties become representation. Some interpretations of quantum theory even suggest observation requires awareness, not merely interaction, meaning the universe may require perspective to fully exist. Without viewpoint, no definite world. Without interpretation, no definite outcome. Reality becomes participatory, relational, dependent on perspective, which creates a strange loop. We observe the universe, but the universe may also require observers. Observer and reality defining each other, a feedback structure, a closed loop. But loops imply something deeper, something self-consistent, something stable because it cannot be otherwise, which leads to an even deeper idea. Reality may exist because it is logically unavoidable. Number 2, reality as self-consistent logic. Imagine a structure that cannot contradict itself, not allowed to fail, not allowed to break, only allowed to exist if internally consistent. Some physicists suggest reality exists because it is logically necessary, not arbitrary. Not accidental, inevitable. Every possible universe must obey consistency. Contradictions cannot exist. Logical impossibilities cannot be instantiated, meaning existence itself may be filtered by coherence. Reality becomes the set of structures that do not collapse under logical pressure. If a universe contains contradictions, it cannot exist. If laws conflict, they cancel possibility. Only stable logical systems survive. Only coherent structures persist. This changes the question completely. Instead of asking why this universe exists, we ask which universes are allowed to exist at all. Perhaps reality is not selected. It is the only option that remains consistent from every perspective, a self-supporting structure, a closed loop of logic that references itself without contradiction. Some models of quantum cosmology suggest consistency constraints determine physical law. The universe behaves as if future and past must align mathematically, as if reality checks itself for contradictions, as if existence is a fixed point in the space of all possibilities, stable, self-contained, unavoidable. But if reality exists because consistency demands it, then physical substance is not required, matter is not required, even space and time are not required, only logical structure, only relationships that cannot contradict themselves. Which leads to the deepest possibility. Perhaps nothing physical exists at all, only structure appearing physical from the inside. Number 1. Nothing physical exists. We assume reality is made of physical substance, solid things, real objects, actual stuff. But every layer of physics keeps dissolving solidity. Atoms are mostly empty. Particles behave like waves. Fields behave like equations. Equations behave like structure. Structure behaves like information. Information behaves like logic. At no level do we find physical substance itself. Only descriptions. Only relationships. Only constraints. Mass describes resistance to acceleration. Charge describes interaction rules. Spin describes symmetry behavior. All properties define relations, not substance. Physics never finds matter itself, only measurable behavior. Only mathematical consistency. Even space-time dissolves into abstract geometry in advanced theories. Reality becomes a web of interdependent rules, each element defined only by its relations to everything else. Remove relations, and nothing remains. No core material, no fundamental stuff. Only structure interpreting itself from within. A self-consistent pattern appearing physical because observers inside it interpret structure as objects. We experience solidity, but solidity may be interpretation, a stable illusion produced by consistent relationships, not fake, not imaginary, but not fundamentally physical either. Reality may be real without being material, existence without substance, structure without stuff, a universe made only of relations observed from the inside. If this is true, the deepest layer of reality is not made of things. It is made of patterns that cannot fail to exist, and the world you experience is simply how that pattern feels from within itself. Perhaps reality is not an object but a perspective, not a thing but a structure. We may never step outside it, never see the base layer, but every equation keeps pointing inward, towards something abstract, something inevitable, something strangely familiar, not unreal, just not physical, and somehow we are part of it.